know, this much ever, and like. Yeah, like that's.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Covington City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 11th. In compliance with state law, city council special and regular meetings will be held in a hybrid format with in-person, telephonic, and virtual options for public viewing and participation. With that, I'm calling this meeting to order, and Krista, if you could please call the roll.
Councilmember Soltis.
I'm here.
Councilmember Porter.
Here.
Councilmember Hartsock.
Here.
Councilmember Harjahausen.
Present.
Councilmember Simomo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Here.
Mayor Wagner.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you, Krista. You'd all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is approval of agenda. Regan, do we have any changes for tonight?
No changes, Mayor.
Thank you. Look for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as posted. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda has been approved. If council could please join me down in front of the dais. Always fun to watch me roll. Right. First up, thank you, Joe. First off,
That's a safe place one, but
sure, I just won't stand by. Tonight, we would like to take this and thank our representatives, senators from our 47th district for all the work and efforts they've done for us in Olympia this year and helping our community. So we have, well, why don't we have all three of you come up? We have Senator Kaufman, Representative Benjamin, Representative Stearns, and I'm gonna have you guys stand right here in the middle. And so what we have is we have gifts, but what I want to do is thank you for going above and beyond and helping us get trail funding for our Jenkins Creek Trail to help us connect from Jenkins Creek down to our newly dedicated groundbreaking for Founders Park that we just did at 4 o'clock today. And we have bottles here. Grab one here without knocking it out with anybody. They're empty water bottles. And in this, I will let you guys open it. We have the Covington colors, orange, blue, and green. And there's a card in there. It says, "We can't keep our excitement bottled up." Thank you for helping us down the trail of success. And with this funding, we will keep heading in the right direction and growing towards greatness. And I will let each of you choose a color. There's orange, blue, and green. I guess Representative Benjamin, Chris, and like orange, blue. Okay. So you can open these, but they are water bottles and they will keep your water nice and cold or room temperature, however you choose to do it. The tissue paper matches the color of the bottle in there. And love the cup. And I just, from the bottom of our heart, really, and not just this year, but each year in the past, you've been there to help us. I know you both were just starting out, but you immensely made a lot of, when you were here before and helped us. So I just thank you. And we just want to continue our partnership with each of you and for all the hard work and accolades to all of you for what you've done. Well, thank you.
I like your
Thank you.
slogan.
Yep. Yep. Love the cup.
Love the cup.
All right. Well, thank you again very much. And it's not on purpose. They thought I was your hands. Thank you. We really appreciate everything.
We have,
Thank you.
we have a reception.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna be cutting
Oh, yeah.
cake here in a few minutes.
And so stick around. We're gonna do a session here.
Yeah, you got a lot of little quickly, so. Thank you for you.
Oh, and we have Max.
Yeah.
There's an
Good to see you. You're no longer the citizen of the year, but you'll never, you can always be. Hey, Jennifer, how are you doing?
I'm good. We missed Mariah.
Yeah. Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I miss Robin.
I know, it's fun.
All right, next we are going to go into our. Every year, we as a council select a citizen of the year and an honorary citizen of the year. Those that have gone above and beyond to help us out in our community. And first off, I believe Jennifer's here. Jennifer Boston. So Jennifer is not able to make it here tonight. So this proclamation, she will be at our Covington Day, so we have a plaque that we will give our recipients at Covington Day. So this proclamation, whereas the city's first birthday, the city council has made it a tradition to select a citizen of the year to honor individuals who have made a difference in our community. And whereas the city council voted to honor Jennifer Bossum as Covington's Citizen of the Year in 2023 for her extraordinary dedication and commitment to the community. And whereas Jennifer served on and expanded the Jenkins Creek Elementary PTA, runs the Kent School District Clothing Bank, and is a paraeducator at Jenkins Creek Elementary, where she is beloved by her students. And whereas Jennifer is an exemplary citizen and passionate advocate for our community's youth, and through her efforts has made a positive impact on the Covington community now and for future generations. Now therefore, we the City Council of the City of Covington do hereby recognize Saturday, July 15th as Jennifer Bossum Day in the City of Covington and ask all citizens to join us in this special observance and recognition of her contributions to this community. And we will give this proclamation to her during Covington Days and present her with a plaque for the Citizen of the Year. So thank you. And congratulations. And the difference I should mention is the Citizen of the Year is someone who lives within the city limits. And then our next one, our honorary Citizen of the Year, is someone who lives just outside our city limits. So for this, our honorary Citizen of the Year, I would like to ask Meg to come up. Meg Aaron. Come right up. Whereas the city's first birthday, City Council has made it a tradition to select an honorary Citizen of the Year to honor individuals who have made a difference in our community. And whereas the City Council voted to honor Meg Aaron as Covington's honorary Citizen of the Year in 2023 for her continued concern for and dedication to the health and well-being of the youth and families of Covington. And whereas Meg took it upon herself to help organize and lead an effort to feed children and their families in the Kent School District who were suffering from food insecurity during a period when regular school meals were unavailable to them. And whereas Meg is an exemplary citizen and champion for the community, and her efforts to go above and beyond to care for her students and their families should be recognized and applauded. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Covington, do hereby recognize Sunday, July 16th as Meg Aaron Day in the City of Covington and ask all citizens to join us in this special observance and recognition of her contributions for this community. And Meg, thank you. You really went above and beyond to help all of our kids, not just in Covington, but those in Covington. It's much appreciated. This proclamation is for you. And we'll call you up on stage during Covington Days where you can get a plaque. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I wouldn't have been able to do it without Jennifer. It was her idea to start with, and all of our volunteers.
You guys were the fantastic dynamic.
Congratulations.
With that, we will do a reception for our 47th district representatives and our honorary and citizen of the year. And we will come back in at 7:25. There's cake in the back. Looks like chocolate and help yourself. Right? Thank you. Thank you, Mason. Next up is our first of two public comment periods. Speakers will state their name, address, and organization. Comments are directed to city council, not the audience or staff. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to no more than 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating virtually, click the raise hand button in Zoom. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants you permission to speak, press unmute if participating virtually, or dial *6 to unmute if participating by phone. Notice to all participants pursuant to state law, RCW 42.17A.555, campaigning for any ballot measure or candidate in City Hall and or during our portion of the council meeting, including the audience comment portion of the meeting, is prohibited. With that, thank you, Joe. We'll start with those who have signed up in our audience. Karen,
Darren Pfeiffer.
thank you.
All right.
I should remember. Sorry, Karen.
No, of course, you kidding me? All right, hello, thank you. I didn't realize, I should say my Taryn Pfeiffer, I live at 16212 Southeast 249th Place here in Covington.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for, we're here and we're excited. I wasn't sure the commentary would be at the beginning, so I was kind of hoping to see what would be said about the best, and maybe I would be, yay, congratulatory and thank you. And maybe I'll be disappointed later, I don't know, but at least as far as I'm here really to see what we're gonna say about that, just be involved, be a citizen with you all on this topic. And I hope you all saw the Seattle Times article by Daniel Beekman that was released on Sunday. Fabulous, well-rounded, educated look into this topic, and really that affects our whole region, all of King County, all of Washington State. And we definitely are kind of ground zero. I think that's pretty intense and says a lot as far as our reactions and what we can do as Covington city members and what we can communicate to King County. And I hope that continues. But thank you so much for all that I know you guys have done in the background that continues.
Great. Thank you very much. Next is James DeLay. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is James DeLay and I live at 24617 168th Place Southeast, Covington. I am here to hopefully, I thought we'd be able to do a celebratory thank you at the end, so again, at least I wasn't first this time. So just a couple words. There was a fire 2 weeks ago on a school campus. That was a mess. They promised, just like Nebraska did, that there'd never be a fire. The facility, I think, was built in 2021. So it's been right around the 2-year mark, and it had a fire. Fortunately, it wasn't during school time, but basically they took the risk. They trusted the manufacturer. They trusted the company. They believed everything that they said, that it was going to be safe and there were no concerns, and they had a fire. They had to shut down the whole school district. Fortunately, it was summertime. So like I've said before, there's no way to prevent a BESS from having a fire. There's no technology to stop it. There's no technology once the fire has started to extinguish it. And I think that until you have either one of those two things, preferably both, that there shouldn't be any BESSes that are lithium ion based, because that's what's the most deadly one. There shouldn't be any. So I'm gonna throw this out there. I know you guys are voting on one particular topic, but I'd love to see if Covington in the future look into putting a moratorium on BESSes until there is a way to extinguish them and or to stop them from actually going into thermal runaway. I think you've heard everything I've said before, so I'll end with that.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is Joshua Kim.
Hello, my name is Joshua Kim. My address is 16222 Southeast 251st Street in Covington. And I just want to thank all of you for supporting the community. So last time when we had the meeting, and then so the neighbors and I got around the unincorporated areas and also a lot of the communities in the city of Covington, as well as some borders towards Maple Valley and Kent. And one of the alarming things that we noticed is that a lot of people were not informed about the best site. Now, the last meeting, I think the opposite party was kind of focusing on that, we didn't want the battery site, but I think, what we wanted to focus more on is the location that we weren't, pleased to have it right by a school, but also having a residential area. But another interesting thing that we found when we were going through all these houses, one by one, is that a lot of the unincorporated areas, houses, they didn't know about it, even though they lived maybe 5 houses down that proposed site. But a lot of them do rely on well waters, and our community as well, 134 houses worth, we also rely on, or the community at least, we rely on well waters as well. So it was really interesting to see a lot of the unincorporated areas around that north, they did rely on that. And from my research at least, building that kind of site right by the wetlands is going to affect that. It's also going to affect the water source as well. So I just wanted to thank all of you. And I just wanted to remind the people who are listening in, we are not trying to say no to the battery. We're not trying to say no to the green energy. We understand that we do need those, kind of technology, but we are just not wanting to have that in a residential zone area. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the chambers that wish to address council? Yes, you can come up front and state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Lori Bixler. I'm at 25212 146th Avenue Southeast. I'm actually in Kent, not Covington. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I may have had to sign up. I am also here about the concerns about the BESS and the Kingfisher Energy. It's frighteningly close to so many children, so many adults, so many families, so many homes. And I just think, like this gentleman said, we recognize that we need this new technology and we recognize that we need storage for these things. But in the middle of a residential area where schools, businesses and families are all located, and parks and activities, it's just not a safe environment for that type of thing. There's plenty of other places, more industrial type of places. So I'm hoping that that can be considered in the grand scheme of things. So I just felt like I needed to have a voice in that.
Great.
So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I'll move to online. If anybody online wishes to address council, please raise their hand. And Teresa, I see that you've raised your hand first. You can state your name and address, please, Teresa. And you are moved over. You are on mute. Go ahead. There you go.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Teresa Turner. I live at 25009. I live at 25009 171st Avenue Southeast in Covington. And thank you for the support that you've shown the community as we're trying to dissuade this company from building the battery energy storage system next to Matson Middle School. That would affect about 3 other schools as well, because there are 3 other schools within a mile radius of this. What I was hoping is that you would consider passing a resolution or a statement, whichever would be more appropriate, really standing up against locating these kind of things in non-industrial areas. I know that you're in a hard place here because it's unincorporated.
I think we lost you, Teresa. You still there?
This, it would put more pressure on the county to not approve it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Teresa. Next up is Catherine Schubert Knapp.
Thank you very much. My name is Catherine Schubert Knapp. I live at 17002 Southeast 251st Street in Covington. I am just down the street from Matson. I do not want to have the BESS built that close to the school and residential areas. I appreciate the time the council is taking to look at this, realizing that it is out of your hands on the permitting side. the Kent School District passed a resolution against citing this in this location. And I hope that you, as our city council, will do something similar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. Is there anybody else online wishing to address council this evening? Seeing nobody else raise their hand, there will be a second opportunity for public comment towards the end of our meeting. With that, we'll move into approval of consent agenda, which consists of items C1 through C4. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda has been approved. Next is new business item number 1 to discuss the proposed battery energy storage system located in unincorporated King County. Regan, do you want to just handle this?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I didn't have anything prepared for this,
Nope,
but
nope.
as everyone is aware, this facility is being proposed just outside the city limits of Covington. King County is the permitting jurisdiction on this, and the council asked for this to be put on an agenda so you can discuss whether you'd want to support or oppose the development of this or its siting location just outside of Covington.
Thank you, Regan.
Yep.
What I'd like to state is that 4 weeks ago, we had a presentation on this subject. And we had over 200 people attend our meeting, consisting of both virtually and in person. And I would like to ask council, this is just me speaking, but I would like to ask for council consensus, that I would like to send a letter to King County, the executive, King County Council, and the planning department, that we as a city council strongly oppose the location of this battery energy storage system in the proposed location right next to Matson Middle School. And I'll look for any comments from council. Jennifer.
I fully agree. I think, especially based on the overwhelming concerns by our residents that it is, in our, even though it's outside of city limits, it is in our community's best interest to represent their voices and amplify them as appropriate.
Debbie.
And I agree. And I want to thank our residents that have come and spoken about this and educated some of us. In looking at the research and data that I've looked at as well, it looks like there are hazards that cannot be guarded against, and there is not an easy remedy for things like a fire. And because of that, I would certainly agree that we send a firm opposition letter to King County.
Anybody else? Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to support the statement that the council is going to put forward opposing the siting of the BESS in unincorporated King County. I think for those listening and for anyone that watched in the future, I think at least I'll speak for myself, some clarification on the rationale behind my decision on this. I want to make clear for anyone that is confused or perhaps confused on this, climate change is real. And we are having impacts upon the climate of the planet, and we do need to, as quickly as possible, shift as much as we can from fossil fuels. And battery storage or new energy technologies are going to be part of that. So I don't want anyone to confuse that Covington is against clean, green energy and energy storage. We are, I'm opposed to the siting of this facility where it is currently located. From what we've seen and heard, it just, the benefits that are communicated to us or were communicated to us in this instance, in my opinion, don't seem to outweigh the costs. And if you get even more granular on it, Covington's going to be paying almost all of the costs on this. the county will see much of the benefits or other jurisdictions that can draw down on the power, while Covington is going to be left with much of the burden on what the costs of this are. So right there, in listening to our community members, I had to put my city council hat on and go, well, what's best for my residents? And in this instance, strongly opposing the location of this is, I think, what we need to do in this instance. So again, I want to clarify, so no one is confused or can twist it. We're not opposed to clean energy. We're not opposed to battery storage. I don't deny that climate change is happening. The location of this battery energy storage facility is not correct, and it should be located elsewhere. I'll have another comment, I guess, after others go through, but I did contact the county, and as soon as they receive a viable application, they communicate that there will be a state Environmental Policy Act process as well. And that will require a public comment period that concerned citizens can also ask for a hearing for. Anyone that asks for a hearing during a SEPA process, it has to be granted. So there will be other opportunities to weigh in on this process. So I would ask, I have asked to be put on the mailing list for this process, so that I get notice when it is, when they do start to move forward with SEPA. So I'll stop there, but I do have one other question.
Anybody else?
So if no one else, yeah.
Beth?
Probably all do.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that everybody has said, and I applaud what the concept of what is trying to be accomplished with clean energy. But as Sean pointed out, there's a right place and a right time. And whilst this battery storage technology is getting safer, it still hasn't reached that threshold of what is appropriate near a school, near a resident. The environment that we're trying to protect could seriously be impacted when a fire happens, and it's likely to happen. So again, not opposed to the ideas behind what's trying to be accomplished with state and county ordinances and laws trying to go towards greener energy, but this is not the right place to site this facility. For the reasons everybody has already.
Christina?
Thank you. My only hope is that should we decide to send this letter, that we use appropriate, firm, and strong language to represent the plethora of emails that are sitting in my inbox that I've had the honor of reading, that we don't just oppose, we strongly oppose, and hopefully provide some appropriate evidence, and just a little bit to put it over the top. Like we can't just sit behind and say, oh, we oppose this, but to reflect what our community is saying, I'm hoping there's appropriate verbiage.
Anybody else? Joe?
I just want to say that as been stated, that we believe that we need greener energy, we need better energy. I think the battery storage facility is a wonderful idea. I think having those as an option is a wonderful idea. I think having it located in a zone next to a school and residential properties is a terrible idea. There's a reason power plants are not near homes. There's a reason that we have buffers between the power lines and homes. There's a reason for that. And I believe that this well intentioned is misplaced in our community, and it's right. King County is going to be the ones who are benefiting, while Covington's the ones holding the bill for all of this, because we're the ones who are the closest to if something goes wrong, Covington's going to be the ones having to respond, and it's going to be us, not King County. They're just going to take the check. So,
Sean, something else.
This whole process has got me thinking about the siting of these types of facilities in I appreciate that we put in the record that Covington does not have any say or any decision-making authority on this, on the siting of this. That got me thinking about what we do have say over in the potential for these to be sited in Covington, in residential areas. And I appreciate some of the feedback I've gotten already, but I think we need to look at our regs to make sure that we are as clear as we have been tonight about where we think these types of facilities can be located in Covington. Again, I'd like to get on the record if, again, I'm not opposed to these. If there was a proposal to put one in our industrial area and it would fit, I think I'd be supportive of that. Would have to look at it. But I'm concerned that we may have a similar issue in Covington, that it could be situated in a residential area inside Covington as well. So just putting it out there that we need to take a look at our planning regulations to tighten them as much as we legally can. So that's it.
Anybody else? Okay, is there consensus on council to send a letter strongly opposing the siting of the battery energy storage system located in unincorporated King County next to Matson Middle School? Is there consensus? Please raise your hands. Okay. There's consensus. Regan, what I'd like, if I may continue, is to direct it to King County Executive, the entire King County Council, the King County Planning Department, and then have it signed by all 7 of us. If
That's great. So a couple options, based off of what you've shared, we can draft a letter and get that sent out in the next couple of days. Or we can draft something and bring it back to council at your next meeting.
I suggest we send it out in the next several days, please.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get it done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, council, for that. And thank you to everybody who has spoken and provided comments. Not just in person, but in writing as well. So, next up is new business item number 2. Consider authorizing city manager to award and execute a contract with CR Construction LLC for the Jenkins Creek Park Phase 1 project. Ethan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So while we anticipated bringing forward a construction contract for your consideration tonight for the Jenkins Creek Park Phase 1 improvements project, we did receive a bid protest recently, and that led to us reviewing the low bid even closer. And the final evaluation is that the low bid is a non-responsive bid. There are certain bidding requirements around needing to list subcontractors and those subcontractors for certain trades, and there's specific requirements for those that they have to follow as part of their bid. And in evaluation of that low bid, they did not meet those requirements. And so it's non-responsive and invalid. So where do we go from here? Typically, we would start looking at the second lowest bid and evaluate that. The second lowest bid is $546,000 more than the low bid that we have to throw out. And that really, given the project budget, it's not advisable to award a contract of that amount. We basically have no contingency funding left, and probably would have to even allocate additional funds towards that project. So unfortunately, the recommendation is to reject all bids and to rebid the project. I will note that rebidding a project does not guarantee that more favorable bids will come in the future. But we can kind of work with our design team to perhaps adjust the bid package a little bit so that we use an ad alternate, so that it's kind of a little bit of an insurance policy, so that we can kind of have hopefully a smaller scope and a lower cost project with an option to do the full scope using an ad alternate. So then if bids come in favorably, we can do it all. And if they come in rather tight, then at least we can get part of the project done. I guess we're not asking for a motion as is stated in your packet, but we would be looking for a motion to reject all bids and bid the project again in the future. Mark, I don't know if you would have anything to add to that, given our discussions on this?
I don't even, council, you described it exactly as I would have. We discovered an irregularity that cannot be waived, and it did deem the lowest bidder to be non-responsive. And from there, council has a few options as Ethan outlined, and reject and staff's recommendation due to the large discrepancy or the large difference between the low bid and the next lowest bidder is to reject all bids and move forward with rebidding the project. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the legal requirements as necessary.
Thank you. Is there a motion to reject all bids and take it out to a rebid?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to take the bid for Jenkins Creek Park Phase 1 improvements out, to reject all bids and to take it out for a rebid. Go.
I'll go to Christina or
Okay.
or Beth.
Beth,
I'll go for
you
Beth.
want to speak to your motion?
Oh, yes, okay. I appreciate the analysis that went into this, and I know this is a really hard decision to say, no, don't, but appreciating the fiscal impact to the city, and I'm sure that you all can value engineer some options that might provide more flexibility so we can still move forward when there's a bidding process. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Joe.
Yeah, I think it's the smart move for us because we need to have those contingency plans. And if the next closest bidder is going to basically leave us with pennies on the dollar to have contingency, it's not going to be worth it. And we're going to be having issues with funding. So I think rejecting all the bids and going back out and crossing our fingers and saying our prayers that we get some better bids is the way to go.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for or against the motion? It's been moved and seconded to reject all bids for the Jenkins Creek Park Phase 1 improvements project and to take this out for a rebid at a future date. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Next up is a new business item number 3, Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the council knows, each year in January, we hold an annual council summit. And from that, we put together the action items that council discussed. And this is just kind of a mid-year review of those. You have that table in front of you tonight with what we've been done. Several of these have already been completed and the others are all in the works. I can go through individual ones or answer any questions that council might have about any specific items on there, if you like.
Does council have any specific items? Jennifer.
Thank you, Regan. I appreciate the touch base on these. It helps keep us all aligned and on the same page. I wanted clarification on the limit work towards a creative district. I wanted to confirm that we are still doing some work that isn't limited, doesn't mean stop, but they are doing something.
Yeah, it is worded a little
Yeah.
interesting in there, and the discussion was around the creation or doing some things that help lead up to the creation.
Correct,
So we're
correct.
doing those things that help lead up to that.
Okay, and that's what I understood from Summit. Okay,
That's
good,
right,
thank
right,
you.
Ethan?
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? This is very thorough and the status is very well updated, but does any council member have any other questions for Regan on this?
No.
Great, good job. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this update back to us.
You bet.
Next up is new business item number 4. Consider House Bill 1590 funding and funding recommendations. Regan.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. So in 2020, the state legislature passed House Bill 1590. And that authorized an additional sales and use tax that the municipalities or counties could use towards affordable housing and health-related services. A minimum of 60% that's collected must be spent on construction of affordable housing, and the other 40% may be spent on operation, delivery, or evaluation of mental or behavioral health services. Also in 2020, the City Council adopted a resolution directing a percentage of these funds to go to the South King Housing and Homelessness Partnership. The The resolution also directs the Human Service Commission to review the 1590 funds and give recommendations to the council on how those funds have been spent to date or will be spent. To date, we've not spent any of those funds. And so right now we just have those reserves sitting in balance. So last month, the Human Service Commission met and came up with the following recommendations. For the 60%, which are must be used towards construction, they recommended providing SCIP to receive 50% of the available balance that we have right now, which is $438,028. That's the 50% of what we have for construction funds. They also recommend giving Vine Maple Place $300,000. Both of those projects that these would be funding are for the construction of affordable housing. For the mental and behavioral health services funding, so that other 40%, there were two proposals given to the Human Service Commission. That one was for AHA, Alcoholics and Addicts Helping Alcoholics and Addicts. AHA is the preferred easier way to say that. But they actually, this isn't reflected in the blue sheet. The recommendation is, which was to fund them at $15,000. They requested $35,000, but we have an additional $20,000 left in our special projects. That's the ARPA, not ARPA funding that's supposed to go to human service. So we can fund that $35,000 request. $20,000 will come from that special service special projects fund. And then the Human Service Commission recommended the additional $15,000 come from these 1590 funds. Vine Maple Place requested an additional $100,000 for mental health, behavioral health services, and the commission did not recommend funding that. There's a couple different reasons for that, and I'll get into those. So to talk about available funds in construction, we've collected since we began collecting, which was January 1st, 2021. We've collected just over $876,000. So if council funds both of these recommendations for construction, that would take $738,028, leaving a remaining balance of just over $138,000 in our construction funding. In the services portion of the funding, so that 40%, since 2021, we've collected almost $500,000, $498,967. And right now, just that AHA request would reduce that by $15,000. There's some things in the works right now that we felt like we should hold some of that money back in reserve so that we can make sure we're prepared if these things happen. One of them is a partnership for a community care specialist with the city of Maple Valley, and then the potential for another community care specialist in Covington should that happen. So the shared position with Maple Valley, if we did that, it would leave us with $19,267 per year that we collect on this in funding that position. That's the ongoing funds, but in the reserve fund that we have, we still have that $98,000 that we council could do something with should you choose to do that. Right now, the recommendation is $15,000 to AHA out of that $498,000. One of the things I wanted to make sure we address as well are affordability credits. The state mandated affordable housing in jurisdictions. And one of our concerns was if we're collecting these funds, do we get affordability credits if we tender those funds to a regional housing authority and not that may build affordable housing, but not in the city of Covington. So we did hear back from Commerce and they said that yes, we can receive affordability credits, but they said, we don't know how those will be determined or who should determine those. They suggested the regional housing authority. We think it should come from Commerce, obviously. So that got kicked a little bit, but so that's something we'll have to work out. But we have been told that we can receive those affordability credits by donating to a regional housing authority. If not, it may be wise to retain those funds to incentivize affordable housing being built here in Covington. But the fact that we can obtain those credits gives us that option to support regional housing. And then just on the clarification point at the end of the blue sheet, in the resolution that was passed in 2020 by the council, it addresses 50% of 1590 funds going to skip. In having conversations with several of you, and also my own recollection, was that it was supposed to be 50% of the construction funding going to skip. And so we wanted to seek some clarification from council on that. If the resolution has it right, then we'll leave it. If it was supposed to be just the 60%, then you can let us know that and we can amend that resolution and bring it back.
Let's do that, what you just
Sure.
said first.
Yeah.
About, let's clarify what was done in 2020 during the regular session. So can you repeat that again?
Yeah, so the resolution is a bit unclear, but I think on a careful reading, it reads that 50% of all funds collected through 1590 will go to skip. Through several people's understanding, the discussion was that 50% of the 60% would go to skip. And so we're seeking clarification on that.
That is my clarification with what is council. Joe?
I think clarification, I think that's correct. I think it's 50% of the 60%. Math wasn't my strong suit though, so we can go to others on this, but I think that is the way we should be doing it.
That's my recollection. Christina?
My recollection was that we had two separate discussions, one about the 60%, one about the 40%. So if we did say 50% of that, it was in regard to that 60%. So I agree.
Anybody else? Okay, is there consensus that it's 50% of the 60% construction funds should go to skip?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Clarification.
With that consensus, we'll amend the resolution and bring it back for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go to the second. The first item before us is we have before us.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. It looks like Mark had his hand raised.
No, he's too late. We already. You gotta be quicker, Mark. We've already concluded. Go ahead, Mark.
I just wanted to make it clear that the resolution will not need to be adjusted for council's allocation here. That was the original decision by council to allocate the 50% was made at the summit, and the council's consensus and direction here is enough direction for staff to move forward without revising the policy or resolution that council passed.
You mean I don't have to sign a new resolution?
You do not.
Oh,
I could draft something for you though, Mayor.
you're fine. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Regan, for catching. All right, so now going back to the first item is to consider the 1590 funding and funding recommendations. For us is the recommendations by the Human Services. Regan provided us an explanation. Does council have any questions or comments, or do you have a motion? Jennifer?
Yeah, I do have, I think, 3 questions. So I'm glad you're here, Julie, so you can potentially help. I did want to confirm that any of this particular money that may be allocated would be, would fall under the same reporting requirements that Human Services monitors.
I don't know if I understand the question.
So when Human Services gives grants to these local organizations, Human Services makes sure that these organizations are effective in doing what they said they were going to do with our money. So I want to make sure that those same reporting requirements, even though this is a little bit of a different process than the annual grant review in the application process, would this fall under that same?
I don't know that the commission's discussed that. And I think with these construction funds, that would be a bit out of their wheelhouse to monitor construction.
So how would we ensure that this money is being used as intended?
So I don't know if there's any audit requirements on that, Mark, do you know if there, I don't know that we need to audit that other than receive the proposals of what it will be and then make sure it goes towards those, but we would have to do some auditing. Casey and Mark, I think would know that.
I'm happy to jump in here, Regan. So based upon the passage of the HB 1590 bill and the council's subsequent passage of the ordinance to collect those taxes, we as a city passed a policy that discusses all the guidelines and all the guide rails that we are going to stay within for spending those funds. And while the state did not outline us any kind of specific process, we will be audited against what the state has put, the statewide restrictions on how these funds can be spent. So we would need to ensure through contractual provisions in any kind of funding agreement that they will comply with all state law, regulations, and otherwise, and that we have the ability to audit them as we believe as necessary, much like all of our other human services contracts.
But I don't know that the Human Service Commission would be doing that auditing. That'd probably be done through finance.
That would be done through staff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it will be audited in some way to ensure that the money is being used. It just, when I see round numbers,
yeah,
it concerns me. 300,000 to me is not a specific budget proposal. Yeah, so I would feel more comfortable if we were watching that 300,000, that nice round number. Like that's interesting. And then also I wanted to confirm that especially with respect to the mental health funds, did we only receive 2 requests for using those funds?
Those are the 2 proposals that were presented to the Human Service Commission. That's what we had between them when council asked us to come back and when Julie met with the commission. But Julie has met with multiple other agencies that just can't provide the services.
Right.
And we've offered these funds. These funds are available, right? Valley Cities, Health Point, and others.
So the city did not receive any others. I understand Human Services only received these 2, but the city.
No, and we didn't do like a notice for these, right? Or a request. These are just the kind of agencies that we've been reaching out to, Julie and Darren, and these are the 2 that responded to this.
Why don't we do a notice?
We could, if that's something we wanted to do. This was a pretty quick turnaround from when council requested it. It's not required by law, but we could do that if council didn't want to make a decision tonight. Be aware though, with the skip funding, I think they need a decision by July 21st for construction. So for the construction and the mental health services, behavioral health services funding, there was no request for funding.
Okay, but those didn't have the deadline that skipped it. The
No,
quick
Skip's the only
turnaround
one
time
with the
you're
deadline.
referring to is truly just skip.
Yep.
So the others, we could take our time.
Yep.
Okay, and then,
Just a minute, Jen. Mark has a question.
oh,
He wants to interrupt
interrupting me
you.
again.
Yeah, he was interrupting me before, so it's your turn.
Go ahead, Art.
That's what I'm here for. And actually, Councilmember Hardenhausen, this will address one of your earlier question. I thought of something else that we do. Whenever the city provides funds like this, we, through the process of determining whether they're meeting their goals and whether they are complying with the contract, we oftentimes, we always include termination provisions and recapture provisions if they were not funded, using the funds as they're required under state law. Obviously, a recapture is a very difficult, drawn out process, but usually we can cut them off if they are not fulfilling their what they said they would do under the contracted agreement.
Okay, and that contract language would be in any contract that we give money to people?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question about the 100K, not considering that for Vine Maple Place. I would like to suggest that council have a presentation by Darren and what he's doing. I know we did get a very quick presentation at Tri-Cities, and that was a lot of data. And I look at data all day, and I had a really hard time digesting and really understanding what it meant. So before we tuck money away for more Darrens, I would like more visibility on what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I just wanted to say that, so as Regan pointed out, we had unfortunately a contract with Valley Cities that they were not able to do, and that's okay. I know they're slammed. We had the same issue with Health Point. We approached them about possibly bringing mental health services to Covington, and it has been a really long process to get mental health services here. Darren actually found AHA, and I want to just make sure you know what they do. So they would provide a licensed mental health therapist that would assist Darren in the field if needed on an on-call basis. So they are great for that. And not only that, they provide transitional housing. So that means that if an individual agrees to behavioral health counseling, and that trajectory of recovering from their addiction, if that plagues them, AHA would be able to provide housing in which they would be able to do that. So, and they provide transportation to the housing. They also provide medical services. So many of our vulnerable residents obviously struggle with like physical health as well, and they provide that as well. So this has been a really great find for us. And you know, I wanted you, if this goes through, if we, you know, if you decide this is a direction to go, I recommend a probationary contract just to see how it all goes. And I wanted to say that. And then I also wanted to mention that Darren is doing a presentation, I believe, at the end of the month. I think it's scheduled. So that's good timing that you asked that. Hey, I think the next meeting he'll be doing that. So I just wanted to let you know that.
That's on our next council meeting.
And also, obviously, no added positions would happen without council approval of that added position as well.
Christina.
Thank you. I have a budgetary number. I actually do like numbers. Of the 876,000 that we currently hold as the 60%, is that for the three, we collect monthly, correct?
I don't know that it's collected monthly,
so-
but that's collection since we started collecting, which was January 2021.
2021.
Yep.
Okay, I'm trying to project kind of what our collections would
Yeah.
be towards the future, and maybe this is a Casey question, but so can we safely say that this is roughly 2 years, or is this like, is a good solid 2.5 years? I know we
Yeah,
backtrack
this
on what
is
we
2
collect.
years. Casey, are these numbers through the end of 2022?
Yep, these numbers are through 2022, and
Yeah.
then for 2023, we estimate for the total 60% that will bring in this year about $403,000.
Okay, so a little bit less even than the 21-22 combination.
Combined, yeah, because
And
that's
that's
2
the thing to
years.
remember, these fluctuate.
Yeah,
themselves,
yeah,
so-
absolutely. And I'm assuming that it's from a complete pot that we then distribute the 60 and the 40. So I could assume that would be kind of similar if we appraise that for the 40% for the mental health.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. That gives me a visualization of our future.
Now it's Mark's turn to interrupt you.
Thank you. I'm honored.
I'm here again. I realized during the course of this conversation that I didn't clarify something earlier. And with the 60% of the funds that are dedicated for construction of affordable housing, just for any entity that these funds are granted to, they will be required to comply with all public works procurement requirements, all bidding requirements and everything like that. So they will have to follow the same process that the city does, pay prevailing wages, and because this is being executed at the cost of the municipality. So I just wanted to make that clear for council, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that if you have any.
Thank you, Mark.
That doesn't scare us.
Joe.
So I want to piggyback on to mental health stuff. Seeing as we are in a mental health crisis, I do want to hear I'm looking forward to hearing from Darren and seeing what is going on there. And I would really like us to fund Pine Maple Place with some money. However, I do want us to be reaching out to more, putting out there for the behavioral health that could be in the city or area or mental health providers in the city who could be using these extra funds as well, who are helping with that. So I would like to see if we couldn't. I want to give money to Vine Maple for mental health and behavioral health, but I'd like us to come back, I want to say in September, if we can do that, and see if there's been anyone else that we've outreached to, so we can find ways to give this money to them. And just put a hold on giving extra mental health, behavioral health money out until we've had extra outreach.
So Julie's probably freaking out over there by these comments, just because that's what she's been doing for a year and a half. Like
Threaten people to take money. Come on.
Consistently doing that for a year and a half. Her and Darren have spent countless hours working with mental health and behavioral health providers so that they will come to Covington and provide those services.
So let me ask a different question then. If we gave Vine Maple Place $100,000, what are they doing with it?
Mhm.
What is that money paying for? I'm not saying we're gonna give them $100,000, but what is that money paying for?
Are you asking what they were asked to do with that 100,000?
What is,
So operational costs for their new behavioral health facility in Maple Valley.
where is the new facility gonna be in Maple Valley?
Well, do you know where their current location is?
Yes, I do.
Yes, right there.
Okay.
They bought an old building that the construction dollars would help to refinish. And so the services money would go for operations that happen within that housing.
I'll wait.
Debbie?
Well, I understood that the $300,000 was for construction, specifically to remodel a 2,800 square foot facility. So that would be the next door, to support stable families. And that the 100,000, when I read through what they were requesting, and that it had the mental health verbiage in there that didn't appear in the request for the 300,000. So that was my understanding about that. And then the other question about the 300,000 is, do we know what percentage that is of the overall cost that they need to remodel that facility?
I feel like Michelle shared that with me a long time ago on a phone call, but I don't recall the total cost, but this is just a portion of it. And I want to make sure we're understanding, right? What were you implying with your question about their two different proposals? Was there some confusion there?
No, well, not to me, because I thought it was clear that the $300,000 request was for the remodel to help with the remodel of a 2,800 square foot facility to support the operations of stable families. And it didn't have any verbiage in there that specifically said mental health, but that's probably a part of the Stable Families program. And then in the $100,000, we didn't see the request, but we did, there was language in what you shared that the $100,000 proposal was requested to build operational capacity in the Stable Families program, including housing costs, program costs for behavioral health staff. That behavioral health staff verbiage was not in the description for the 300,000. So I see those being two separate things.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just.
They have to be to get those different pots of.
Yeah. I had one other question unrelated to that part, but on the AHA, I understand that we would be giving them $35,000, and that would be in clarifying with Regan this morning, that would be for a year. That's an annual. But what I still don't understand is, does that pay for incremental? Are we charged a per time that we reach out to them, or is it, what will we, for $35,000, it will give us a year's worth of not free support, but at any time we call, we're gonna get their support. Is that right?
Yeah, so they have an on-call staff person that's a licensed mental health professional. And we're paying for them to be on call and during the day, during Darren's hours, so they can work directly with that person. And then, also part of that is transitional housing, like I described earlier. And so hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Christina.
I forgot my question.
Beth?
Good one.
Do we have an estimate of how many Covington residents would actually be served by the money that we're spending as we give it to these or potential?
It's a hard question. Behavior change is difficult, and for someone to want to accept help, especially someone that's addicted to substances, you don't know. I don't know. I would assume the number would be fairly small. Like, I'd be happy if one person said they wanted to get better. But yeah, it's hard for me to answer that. I would say under 5 people probably. But if you consider, what they're getting with transitional housing, recovery support, all of that, I mean, those services are expensive. So hopefully that answers your question.
And that was for AHA. Where are they located?
So they're in Auburn,
They
actually.
are in Auburn.
Mhm.
I thought I read that. And then the same thing with the 300,000 for Vine Maple Place. I mean, we're obviously they're right next to us and we do a lot of partnerships, either as a city and or other groups, providers in the city. So is there a reason why that amount was chosen? Is there, based on the analysis we'll do, or the Human Services Commission does on different nonprofits, is there, what's the gut reaction with how that will help Covington residents? Like, how many residents do they normally see from Covington or help place in the Safe Families program? Do we have a number of residents served?
So are you asking about the 300,000?
I think what she's asking is, do we have any historical data on how many Covington residents Vine Maple Place helps? Obviously with Skip, they've not helped any.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
And I don't know, I think like Julie mentioned, their facility that they're proposing to build in Burien may not do much for here, but it's a regional involvement. Vine Maple Place, I don't know numbers, maybe Julie does. I know they've helped a considerable amount of Covington residents, but I don't have a percentage for you. And I don't know if they collect that, we could ask, but.
I mean, I can just speak to their quarterly reports. They exceed their numbers every year. I've never had a problem with them, like they always exceed. They're great. I mean, and their program is a well-oiled machine. They do, you know what they do. So, I mean, they're great. I have no doubts about their credibility, their ability to serve. So, and their numbers are always fantastic. I don't know about the 200,000 though, and how, I mean, that's unseen yet, but.
Yeah, we don't know.
I mean, we'd just be nice to know that if we have somebody that needs to use that service, they won't get turned away because they don't have capacity when we're making this investment in that facility, I guess is kind of.
So what you're saying is, do we ask Vine Maple Place to reserve rooms for Covington?
Maybe, or I don't know if that looks like, if that's feasible or not. I mean, I know the numbers fluctuate, but, and I don't want to seem like it's not that I don't want to help another community, because we are regional and it does impact.
I think the other hard part too is determining who is a Covington resident in these. They may be connected with these services here in Covington, but that doesn't mean they're a Covington resident.
Right.
And so I think I understand let's help Covington residents with Covington funds, but in this arena, that becomes a really difficult task to identify.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
So going back to mental health, I think $100,000 that they're asking for is a lot of money. I also think that $100,000 hires behavioral health and mental health specialists who can help. However, being it as this isn't up and running fully yet, I don't think we could give them 100,000. I would like to, if it would be a friendly time to do this. Mark is going to probably interrupt me. And tell me it's going to tell me it's wrong. But I would like to add $35,000 of that, instead of 100,000, make it 35,000 to Vine Maple Place for to build their operational capacity for the housing costs and program costs for behavioral health staff. From our 40%.
So you're asking, so I just want to clarify.
Yep.
So Vine Maple Place asked for $100,000. You're suggesting that we supply $35,000 instead of the $100,000.
Instead of zero.
Instead of zero. I'm suggesting we give them something.
Okay.
Because something's better than nothing. But I want us to give I think $35,000 is a step in the right direction. And I think it gives us a chance to see where that money's going. And then next year they can come back to us and ask again, or they go to Human Services and ask again, and we can go from there, because there are times where I think they have their greatest intentions, but there's numbers on a dartboard and they hit 100,000 this time, or 35,000 is going to be enough to get them that start that they need.
Okay, so before I come back for you, because I'm going to need you to make a motion if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Casey had her hand up. Oh, it's down now. Did you still have a comment?
afraid.
Casey?
She's scared. I'm spending money.
I was just gonna mention the Vine Maple Place numbers if you were interested.
Sure, please.
Sure. So are we currently contract with them for 38 individuals for case management and 24 for placement and 8 folks for employment services. And I can say through fourth quarter 2022, they were at like 245% of their goals. So they had massively exceeded them.
Okay, thank you. Christina.
Thank you.
Actually, I should wait because he's making a motion.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me rephrase this. So Joe, you are making a motion to approve the Human Services Commission recommendation for allocation of the HB 1590 funds to include an extra $35,000 to Vine Maple Place for mental health funds. Did I get that correct?
Yes, you did. So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Third.
so it's moved in second. Joe, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. First, I am very happy Skip is finally moving on building something. I am excited for this. It was this time a year ago, I was thinking we should not be a part of Skip because they were just doing a bunch of bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy. Now they're doing bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy on top of building something. And I'll take it. I want them to remove one of those layers of bureaucracy, but I'm going to take this. Vine Maple Place has proven that they help our residents. They help people who claim Covington is theirs. And I'm excited that they are helping that many people. 246%, is that the number you said, Casey? Yeah, 246% of their goals. That's incredible that they're helping all these people. I wish we didn't have to have them help all these people, but that's incredible that they're there to help them. I wish that there was easier ways for them to get there. And that'll be something I bring up at a regional transit committee meeting, because I think we need to get Metro to help the people who need it. I think having the 15,000, the 35,000 that will wind up given to AHA is going to be great. It's going to help Darren a lot, I believe. I think it's going to give better chances for people out on the streets to get the help they need. And $35,000 for mental health is a drop in the bucket, but I think $35,000 is a start. It's going to help. It's going to do. It's not going to do everything we need it to, but it's going to be that kick in the pants to get it to do the things we need it to. We're in a mental health crisis. If people don't believe that, I believe they can talk to Darren about that. He'll tell them. I'm excited that we're doing this. I'm happy we're spending this money. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Jennifer, should I speak to your second?
Yeah, just quickly, awesome that you guys found this organization, AHA. I'm really excited to hear about their progress. It really sounds amazing, especially that transportation component. And it's like they're a full service to really truly help someone who is taking that first step, which is the hardest. And then I hate to go against commission recommendations. I don't like it, having been on a couple commissions. I remember what that feels like, and honestly, pisses you off, the commission did all this work and then council does something different, but as Joe was saying, we are in a crisis situation. If we have an organization that can actually use our behavioral health funds, we need to get them out there, and we need to get them out there as quickly as possible. So I totally support his motion.
Thank you, Jennifer. Before I move on, Regan, do I need to restate the motion to include this extra 20,000 for AHA?
No,
Okay.
that doesn't need to be. That's coming out of the general fund. We've already got that budget.
Okay, thank you. Christina?
Before I ask my question, I too support. It just sounds like My Maple Place is proven and tested and proven, and they're gonna take that 35 and more than double it. From what we're seeing. Really excited. It almost didn't make sense to me to give them the 300 without supporting them with the mental health aspect of it as well. One thing I really appreciate Human Services and all that they do. They probably realize this, but that we're not as flexible with these funds as we would be with other human services funds, and so we do have to allocate them towards a mental health or behavioral, to distribute them that way. My question was, if we give them the 35, does that, did you say 19 was left over after the combined forces of Maple Valley's potential?
So
Darren.
that wouldn't be part of our reserve, what we have in reserve right now, which is
Yes, I know.
498,000. But
That would
our
be-
annual ongoing, on top of what we pay for Darren, if we pay for a half-time position,
Understood.
then we'd have just over 19,000 on each year.
Okay, understood. Thank you. I still stand my ground with the 35.
Anybody else wishing to speak for or against the motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the Human Services Commission recommendation for allocation of the HB 1590 funds to include an extra 35,000 to Vine Maple Place for mental health. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you all very much. Next up, that concludes all of our new business for this evening. Looking at future agenda, we have our July 25th meeting, and you will have interviews that night for Youth Council, Economic Development Council, and maybe more. Does council have anything else they would like to see on a future agenda? I would like to see personally, if there's council consensus, I believe it's on the agenda for the first one in August about the B&O tax, or not B&O tax, public safety funding is on the first one in August. Is that correct? And then at some time, I would like to bring back for council to discuss the fireworks.
Oh.
Whether we go back with a modified ban or we stay as is. Is there council consensus to bring that back?
Yes.
Fireworks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not saying we're gonna do anything,
No.
just for a
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have to, just kidding.
we don't have to. You guys don't have to agree with me. It's not a
I
problem.
love discussing.
All right. Next up is council staff comments.
I just want to mention one thing. It was originally on the August 8th meeting, but we had to pull it and move it to a future. agenda. The B&O public safety.
Oh, that's coming, okay, as long as it's on.
But just so you know, yeah, it's on the radar, just so you're not expecting it August 8th.
Oh, okay, but a future meeting to have public
Yes.
safety funding coming up, as well as a discussion of the future of fireworks.
Right.
Okay,
Are we still having that workshop meeting about it on the 8th?
No.
Okay.
No.
The whole thing is moved. Okay.
Is there, so sorry, did I miss, was there council consensus to bring
For both.
fireworks back?
yes, there
Okay,
was.
Okay.
Yep,
Got it.
thank you. All right. Adam,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's been a very busy last few weeks for us. Just to give you an update on our staffing changes, King County mandated that contracts are between 82% and 88%, which leaves us at 14 people. In order to help with some of the administrative tasks, we swapped one of the officers for a sergeant. We'll be getting that sergeant August 1st. I found that out today. And that sergeant worked in Covington for a substantial period of time and is returning after promoting. It's Aaron Job, so we're very excited to have him back. The person we're losing was here temporarily, so not gonna hurt us too bad. So our current vacancies will have us with 2 officers, a detective, and an SRO. So we're hoping we'll start filling those again in October after a hiring freeze. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Adam. Ethan.
Just want to share my appreciation to council for participating in the groundbreaking today. That was great to get our Founders Park project going. And Covington Days is coming up this weekend. Staff are definitely working hard and diligently to make sure that happens, and the parade and everything. So should be a good weekend. That's all I got.
Don.
Just one thing, if you're not aware, a little bit after 7 out by the our CIP project, basically in front of Home Depot, kind of part of Timberlane area, there's some power outage there. And so PSC is assessing it. We weren't working in the area as far as our contractor, but the power is out in that area, and they anticipate it to be back around 9:30. So just an FYI.
Thanks, Don. Selena.
Good evening, council and mayor. I have nothing for you tonight. Thanks.
Thanks, Selena. Casey.
I was just going to mention that you'll see an invitation come through from the state auditor's office for the entrance conference. You actually don't have to come if you don't want to. The entrance conference is actually taking place when we're almost done with the audit, and it was just going to be something that Regan and I were going to sit in on. But the way the invitation reads, it makes it sound like they want you all to come, but you're more than welcome, but you don't need to attend. The audit is almost completed, at least for the financial statement portion. So I just wanted to give you a heads up when you see that invitation come through. Thank you.
Is that quicker than in years past?
They're only done with the first part.
Okay.
I estimate they'll probably be here a couple more months.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Are we sure a couple more?
I was just gonna say, because I was interviewed just shortly before, and thank you.
Thank you.
Mark.
There's no executive session tonight, and I have no further report. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Regan.
Audit entrance conferences are wonderful. You would just love to attend those.
Sleep.
So,
You sound
Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah.
You're selling it so well.
Something that is exciting, like Ethan said, Covington Days, the Salties have generously allowed us to drive the Humvee in the parade, and so council will some riding, some walking, handing out candy. Don't throw candy at people, but hand it out. Sorry, Joe. But anyway, excited for the Covington Days. Thank you.
Thanks, Regan. Krista.
I don't have anything for you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Krista. Christina.
You haven't done the other way around in a long time. Nothing. I'm just excited. I'm so sad I won't be there this year. It's my first year I miss, but I am going to go watch my son graduate his school across the country. And when it came to choosing between him and this, well, I really wanted to choose this, but you know, then I'd be about. No.
You chose wisely.
I think so. I think so. I love him. I've missed him. We haven't seen him for 3.5 weeks, and gosh, I miss him. Thank you for an amazing meeting. I love delegating and discussing things with this council. Have an amazing week.
Thank you. Beth.
Just thank you to everybody that in the audience that participated tonight and throughout the process, and as we're having our discussion on our new business item number 1. Also, equity, cultural, and social justice workshop ahead of our meeting today. I know you guys do a lot of work and trying to make Covington very forward and well-rounded and inclusive for everybody. So thank you very much. Looking forward to the festivities this weekend. It's always fun, a lot of energy, a lot of connections to be made, and opportunities to engage with the public and with each other in our communities. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Beth. Sean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, somewhat hesitate, but on the 4th of July, we had a Kentwood student murdered at after the festivities and fireworks there. I didn't want it to go without mentioning that. My daughter graduated with her. Her name is Megan Goldsmith. It's hit home how close gun violence is coming, and we're having this conversation with our kids just about every day about being aware of things like the exit, if there are conflict in a crowd, how to get out of those situations. I guess I just didn't want it to go past without mentioning that this bright woman had her life snuffed out just several days ago, and I just wanted to just let people be aware. So anyway, that's it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding us of that. And personally, I will be praying for her family. I wanted to just give a shout out to Adam for what you went through on the 4th of July. Oh my goodness, it made me so sad to read the reports of how people responded when they were being cited for breaking a law in our city. And I'm sorry that you had to do that all by yourself. I mentioned to Adam earlier, I might volunteer to be a ride along next year so I can maybe help write citations or something. You said you need somebody with a firmer voice. That's not gonna be me.
I'll do it.
You won't fit in this car.
I think you should deputize all
I
of
know, I
us.
was just gonna say.
I just had a couple questions about working the city booth. Do you know, Regan, if we have any vacancies in shifts yet to fill?
I know we did.
There's
Is
two
there one
on
more?
Sunday,
Okay,
both,
yeah,
both sound
the last 2 shifts on
on
Sunday,
Sunday.
yeah.
What, if somebody would just, is there somebody so I can go look and if I
If
can
you
fill
still
those, I
have the
will?
link to that sign up thing, you check,
Okay.
otherwise we can send it to you.
Okay, let me look for
So go-
Carla's original email.
Go to Friday,
Yeah, if
Regan's-
you click,
on your Friday memo,
Yeah.
at the very bottom of that, there's a link.
Okay, under that activities, right, okay.
and
thank
that'll
you.
take you to it, yeah.
Okay, thanks. At that event, I think we talked about this earlier in our first meeting, is the opportunity that we have to share a lot of messages about our great commissions and volunteer opportunities in the city. But I'm wondering also, do we have an opportunity to share with the public how we're responding on the bus situation? I don't know if the letter will have been mailed by then.
By
Saturday.
So once we have it completed, we'll do a press release and push that on social as well. Were you thinking of having something at Covington Days?
If we had something that we could share, because
Mm-hmm.
I am very sure we're gonna get a lot of people asking us questions about it. That, I mean, we can say we as a council oppose, and we are sending a formal letter. Anything that we could hand out to people, I don't know if you would rather that we not, but and that we're all using the same language of what it is we're saying, and not that we're gonna quote that letter verbatim, but that was just a thought. I think I know that we're gonna be asked questions. I think a lot of people will see the city booth and come just to ask about that. So if there's anything that we can hand out, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Okay, thank you. And then also on the tax benefit district, the tax increase that went into effect on July 1st and the benefits that the community will see from that, is that something that we could also talk about? I know I read somewhere in this last week that there is some message going out, and I can't remember where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, it's funding some projects that I know I haven't seen everything that's going to be at that booth. Usually it's 1,000 times more information that's provided there than that people want to hear, but I know there will be transportation projects shown there and those dollars are paying for those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you. That's all I had. Thank you.
Jennifer.
To echo what Debbie was saying about 4th of July, the disrespect of our community parks was also sad and shocking. That broken tree at CCP. I mean, come on, the fire at Jenkins Creek. It's extremely unfortunate. I'm sorry for everyone that had to work that night and deal with all of that into our public works for having to clean that huge mess up. Also, I appreciated the meeting beforehand with ECSJ and especially the comments about what is a founder and Founders Day Park. Definitely got me really thinking about that. I will be thinking Sean's comments regarding the same. So I really appreciate all the work that your commission is doing. Covington Days, as you guys know, it's my favorite weekend of the year. I'm really excited about it. And I wanted to encourage all of us that will be there to go around and make sure to connect with the commission members that are there volunteering their time as well. I think it's helpful for our commissions to just, get, anytime they can touch base with us, I think that they appreciate that. And we hear that in their, interviews when they're upping, for reapplication. And so again, just based on my experience as a commission member, my favorite council members were the ones that came by and said hi. So anyway, I will see you all, or most of you, at the parade Saturday.
Joe.
So I am looking forward to Covington Days. I didn't sign up for a specific shift in the booth because I wasn't sure when I was going to be free. And when I went to go sign up, all the slots I wanted were filled. So I'm just going to be there all day as a floater between the commission booths and the city booth, just to kind of make my presence known and be there and have some fun and turn in my hold harmless so I can be in the parade. Yeah, the guy who hates parades will gladly be in this parade this year. I really am. But also I want to talk about.
You're the one that asked for everybody to be in the
I
parade.
know, that's the other thing too, is I'm the one who asked for it and I'm like, I don't like parades, but I want us all to be in it. But the intersection of 272nd and 172nd, right there by T-Mobile. I want to say I told Regan about the accident before Adam was able to this last week. And I want to say, and the only reason is because I got caught in the traffic as everyone was showing up.
So did I.
We need to do something about that. I know we have this, we talked about this at the last meeting about these 5 possible roundabouts going from Covington Way to just right over here. We need to either make that 6 roundabouts or get this or hound the state to do something about it, because you cannot see when you're trying to make a turn at that intersection because of the offsets there. So we need to do something. And I know that people I read the Facebook comments and people were furious about it, but I think we really do need to be hounding Wasthought about it. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you all this weekend.
Thank you, Joe. I'll start with Founders Park, the groundbreaking. It was nice to see that come to fruition. Or the dirt turning, but it was nice that we were able to do that, and then to be able to honor our representatives tonight, especially Deborah Intiman, who did a lot of legwork to help get that through for us. Tour of CCP that we did. Yeah, Public Works, the entire city did a lot of work to get that cleaned up for our tour, because that you would not, if I had not seen those pictures, I would not have known that there was that much mess and the disrespect that was given to our city and all of our residents, what happened there. Thank you to our commission. The study session was excellent. All of our commission members, and on all of our commissions, all the extra work, because that's a volunteer basis. And the fact that everybody goes out of their way to help make a difference in Covington is very much appreciated. Covington Days. I've been to every single Covington Days now, except for one since 1986. So, and I used to run Covington Days, so I can see all the hard work that gets put into it by our city and everybody that's done it. I would like to ask council. I don't know who's judging the parade. Is council members judging? Is there anybody judging it, or am I just emceeing it? I don't know.
Fairly certain there's people judging it, but.
Well, I know.
They're gonna be judging it.
Last year we had council judge it, so I didn't know, am I the only one that's jumping, walking off the car? I'm not gonna jump off the
I
car.
don't think we got asked
Okay.
this year.
Yeah. Okay, so,
I think they have a panel that's
okay,
set, so you're just.
that's fine.
to
So
MC.
you'll slow down for me to get out at a slow gate to, okay, just open the door. And does your doors come off that you can just push me down? You have insurance?
You have insurance.
Perfect. But what I was gonna say is I would like to ask council to join me on stage when we do the parade awards, if you're available, and also when we give the plaque out for the Citizen of the Year and the Honorary Citizen of the Year. And that, I believe, is at 11:30 on Saturday. So if you're available, if you could join me up there, it'd be great.
Hey, just a quick question, Mr. Mayor. Since we're all in the parade, are we just gonna like carpool from City Hall over to real life, or should we all just park over there?
Gonna
Just-
walk there.
You're walking.
I mean, it's fine, but maybe I'll jog. I don't know.
It's up to you guys how you're gonna do it. I'm getting a lift.
We'll arrive with Sean.
But, no, because I know that in the past, so the time has always been off, so 11:30. If you wish to be up on stage while we do this, would be great. If not, you don't have to be there. And then in 3 weeks is National Night Out.
Wow.
So, I don't know if we've had any neighborhoods sign up yet.
We've had about 7 or 8.
Okay.
So, and I think they'll be coming in. I've had a few say, we'll let you know.
Okay, I get Suncrest. She said she was gonna do it again. The hot dog lady, the hot dog
I
bar.
can't remember, is it
That's Jolene.
Well, then I want Suncrest too.
Yeah.
You know what? Forget it's not meeting at Timberland. We're all meeting at Suncrest.
Yeah.
She was last year she said she was gonna do it again, but I know things have come up, so I don't know if she's gonna do it again this year.
I'm not sure. She sent me something today, so she may not be able to do it.
Okay, all right, but yeah, whenever you get that list out, I would love to be able to sign up for response. Thank you. That is all I have tonight. Let's go into our second public comment period. Speakers will state their name, address, and organization. Comments are directed to the city council, not the audience or staff. Comments are not intended for conversation or debate and are limited to no more than 4 minutes per speaker. For attendees participating virtually, click the raise hand button in Zoom. For attendees participating by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Once the city grants you permission to speak, press unmute if participating virtually, or dial *6 to unmute if participating by phone. Notice to all participants pursuant to state law RCW 42.178.555, campaigning for any ballot measure or candidate in City Hall and or during any portion of the council meeting, including the audience comment portion of the meeting, is prohibited. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to address council this evening? James. Thank you.
Hi, my name is James Delay. I live at 24617 168th Place Southeast in Covington. I just want to say thank you all. You know, when I first started this, the awareness of the best, I was just like, oh, great, green energy, that's wonderful and everything. And then once I dug in further, as you know, I was terrified. And I know you guys don't have any decision-making ability. It's all up to King County, and there's a whole bunch of issues going on with that. Tenaska was told by King County Permitting that they qualify as a utility company, which may enable them to bypass a whole bunch of different requirements, such as how loud the bus is or any environmental impacts to a certain extent. So it's basically like they're giving almost a free pass on getting the permitting if they do actually qualify as a utility. So you guys stepping up and you guys putting together a strongly worded letter coming from Covington, I think should hold some weight. But as Tracy, the person who's the single decision maker in this, has told me, she is the single decision maker on this whole entire project. The King County Council, per Tracy, has no influence on them. We're not supposed to try to influence her. So I'm still extremely worried. And I don't know if there's anything else now that you guys have taken an official stance. If there's anything else in your power that you can do, whether it's talking to other cities like Renton, they've gone through this. Tukwila is the next on the target list by Tenaska. They want to put a BESS close to South Center. I don't know exactly where, but that's they're replacing the failed Renton one with a Tukwila location. So this isn't just a one-time thing, and I pray that we stop them from putting it next to Matson, but they don't care. They just see the dollar signs and they want to cash in. So it's like, oh, we lost Renton, so we're going to Tukwila. If they lose Covington, they're just going to go somewhere else. So if you guys have any contacts at other cities, city councils, or state legislatures, I was really hoping that they'd stay and listen to you guys. I think I've gotten one response, and it was an automated, kind of a generic response saying, oh, we're aware of it. It's up to King County. But if you guys can use your power and influence to try to help the cause, I greatly appreciate it. So with all that said, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the audience wishing to address? Yes.
Hello, this is Taryn again, 16212 Southeast 249th place. I just want to say I'm overwhelmed, honestly, with the motion. I'm trying to find my words before stepping up here, but the example I am seeing again and again in the last meeting and tonight, just of really, you all exemplify public service. And it really makes an impact when I hear the discussions you're having on multiple topics and just the forethought, the energy you put into all of this. And I know there's so much that goes on in looking at the data and the research. And I just so appreciate taking a stance on this BESS proposal. And again, knowing that it is not over, and it will continue to be a continuing topic that we all have to look to and be aware of and keep that public awareness at the forefront. But yes, as far as location, just knowing that you are standing behind that being an educated decision. And I fully support, industrial zones, things like that. I've also heard, Whatcom County they did a moratorium as far as anything over 5 megawatts. So having some kind of size restriction, that I thought was very interesting, since the research is so new, the science behind this is so new, knowing that if we start small, stick to industrial, continue to study how that comes out, how is that looking with fire rates and data, then we can expand as things become safer and better researched. So I think that's all the goals, but I just, again, am so appreciative of all that you do, and the public sees it. And I am just so honored to have kind of come into the fold through this unfortunate situation, but just really see what you all do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience wishing to address council? Is there anybody online wishing to address council? Seeing nobody raise their hand and no further business to be handled tonight, this meeting is adjourned at 8:58. Thank you.